Welcome to Rocco Goats. As far as our opening hand goes, yeah, we'll keep on this one. I like it. We don't really have a lot of mono white devotion. Well, we've got Force of Virtue, and but anyway, we've got Ancient Tomb and Wheel of Fortune, and enough mana to get to Wheel of Fortune, and so that was kind of my main hitting point. But also, we can go Sunbaked Canyon, Enlightened Tutor on Mana Crypt to keep up with this this mana assortment our opponents got on their side of the battlefield, so we can definitely make that work. So it's going to lead off with a Sunbaked Canyon, and I don't think we have to worry about any sort of instant speed action from our opponent, so anything else, we will pass the turn over to our opponent. But yes, welcome to Rocco Goats. Hope you're excited to get a bunch of goats on the battlefield. And if you're wondering, like, you know, with Rocco being a tutor commander in Naya, out of all the powerhouse creatures in Naya you could go for, we went for goats, and that's what we're going for. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And I mentioned we have Force of Virtue. We also do have Glorious Anthem. So if we can get to another white source, we'll definitely make that work. But, right, Primal Vigor. All right. All right, and actually that does end up working out for us. So let's go ahead and add white mana to our mana pool. Let's grab ourselves a Soul Ring. Not a Soul Ring, but a Mana Crypt. Because that does allow us to go Ancient Tomb, Mana Crypt, Gilded Lotus. And then we can start dumping some of this stuff out and take advantage of Primal Vigor, which I'm very excited about. And we'll use this Wheel of Fortune once we kind of deplete our hands. So let's go and make the land drop for the turn. It's going to be Ancient Tomb. Let's drop in Mana Crypt and go for that. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and that'll be adding green mana, not taking any damage, which is very nice. So let's pop in a Gilded Lotus, and that's going to allow us to go for triple white for Glorious Anthem. Look at that. Look at these two powerhouses on turn 2, Squirrels versus Goats, than anything else. Let's go ahead and pass the turn over to our opponent. So we're playing Rocco. Whenever Rocco enters the battlefield, if you cast it, you may search your library for a creature with mana value X or less, put it on the battlefield, and then shuffle. So the magical number for Rocco is going to be 4. If you do not have a perfect memory of what Springjack Shepherd cost. We're playing against Chatterfang, Forest Walk, which they do have the Forest Walk established for the Avi Maya. If one or more tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus that many 1/1 green squirrel tokens are created instead. Then for black mana activation, sacrifice X squirrels. Target creature gets plus X minus X until end of turn. And that's Parallel Lives. The only thing is, if we can just dump a lot of this stuff out pretty quick and we can get that devotion going, we'll be pretty good. So I'm just going to choose Tails on this one. I lost the flip. And that drops us down to 34, and we run into Horizon Canopy. So let's go and make the land drop for the turn. And I think what we'll probably end up doing is, I want to see if our opponent's going to deploy anything out, and then we can go Wrath of God and then just go Wheel of Fortune. So let's go triple white off of Gilded Lotus. Oh, excuse me. And that does have flash, so we'll just flash it in on our opponent's turn. We could exile Wrath of God, but let's see what they got going on over there. And then anything else. We will pass the turn. So we did cover both commanders. Let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors, TCG Player. If you go to bit.ly/JoltMTG, that will apply my affiliate link. That'll allow you to get some cards and help support the channel at the same time. So if you do use that link, much obliged. I certainly appreciate it. Let's give a quick shout out to MTGOTraders. If you want to play Commander online, they've got you covered. Quick shout out to inkgaming.com/Jolt for 10% off of your order. And last but not least, I started a Patreon. So if you'd like to directly support cool content like this, there's a link down in the description below. But if you're keeping score at home on the goat farm, it's officially free time, and it's almost goat time. We need to get a little bit more devotion going before we go for that. So let's drop in Force of Virtue, and we'll tap down for, I guess, just a forest. There we go. All right, so we get down Force of Virtue, and we can go for Wrath of God if we want to. I mean, we're just looking at a squirrel token. Because we're both down to 2 cards in hand. So let's go and choose Tails on this Mana Crypt trigger. I lost the flip. I think we're 0 for 2 on those. Let's drop in Scalding Tarn. And so right now, we drop in goats, and that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're ending up with like 6 goats on the battlefield, plus 2 bonuses. I think we just wait one more turn. Let's see if they get any sort of token generation before we end up going for Wrath of God. And then we'll go for Wheel of Fortune and hopefully kind of deploy this out. And see if they have anything else kind of moving on their side of the battlefield. But yes, it is officially free time. And the commander for this deck, technically, is Springjack Shepherd. So I know I did mention it, but I'm going to break it down. So we're looking at 3 colorless and a white. Whenever Springjack enters the battlefield, it has Chroma, which is basically just devotion. Add create 0/1 goat tokens equal to the number of white devotion that you have. So, technically right now we've got indestructible. All right, so Toasie's going to be able to get in on this. So we're going to be going for Wheel of Fortune pretty soon. I was hoping to see if they had some sort of way to mass generate some tokens, and that way we could cash in Wheel of Fortune, but we might end up just going for Wrath of God on this one next turn. All right, so we got Chatterfang swinging in. They're going to be able to cash in a card draw, because if we do end up going Wheel of Fortune, we can hopefully deploy some stuff out for next turn. I think that'll work out. So let's go ahead and crack Scalding Tarn. That way we can get rid of that land in our library. Let's go and grab Jetmir's Garden, have that come into play tapped, and I think we just end up going Wheel of Fortune. I kind of like that. All right, so we're going to choose Tails on this one. Won the flip. We are, I think, 1 for 3. And then let's see, run into Plains. So let's go ahead and, yeah, we're cool with making the lane drop. So let's drop in Plains. Let's go Wheel of Fortune, just to kind of see what we've got going on. And what we're going to do is we're going to tap down Jetmir's Garden, tap down Mana Crypt. And that way we have access to triple white off of Gilded Lotus if we need to. And I'm sure our opponent's probably cool with this one. All right. Ooh, and we actually run into just straight up just Springjack Shepherd. Okay, so that kind of changes what we're doing. So let's go. So we do have Prison Term, which is a very nice option. So if we do end up going for Sky Shroud Claim, that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 2 lanes on the battlefield, 3 and 6. And we can still go Grand Abolisher in Prison Term, I think, which I kind of like that. So let's go Sky Shroud Claim. That's going to be 2 off of Ancient Tomb. And we're going to tap down on green from the forest, and we'll tap down green from Sunbaked Canyon. So let's go Sky Shroud Claim. And we're going to grab Savannah, and at this point, we do not have the necessary basics. We only have 1. And so what we're actually going to do is we're going to grab Temple Garden, because we want this to come into play untapped. So we're going to pay 2 life on that. Let's drop in a Grand Abolisher. That's going to be triple white. And then we can go for Prison Term on Chatterfang, and I think I kind of like that. So let's pay 1 and 2. And now that we do have Springjack Shepherd in the hand, with Rocco, we'll see exactly what we would end up grabbing. We are sitting at a 4/4 right now. And then anything else, we will pass the turn. So we got the lane drop for next turn. We'll get a count on Devotion. But as far as what we want to grab with Rocco, now that we do have Springjack Shepherd in the hand, actually we'll take a look at it real quick if you didn't hear what I was talking about earlier. But yeah, we get those goat tokens on the battlefield. And it's always a lot of fun. So one of the things that we can grab with Rocco, because I think we end up kind of capping out at about 5 converted mana costs. We have more than enough mana for that. One of the things that we do have is Hero of Bladehold. And with Hero of Bladehold, that does give us the option to have Battle Cry, which just kind of amplify the volume of goats that we got out there. And the only thing that we're looking out for is, with us going for that Wheel of Fortune, our opponent might have wheeled into a board wipe. So we'll see what kind of action they've got going on their side of the battlefield. If we want to attach Prison Term to Squirrel Wrangler, we can. I think we're okay with that. We're just going to leave it over there on Chatterfang. We do have Grand Abolisher that can stop Toski from swinging in. We're just kind of chump block, and that's going to be Nature's Lore. So at least we kind of do stop the extra card advantage from our opponent. But as far as Devotion goes, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we've got at least 8 Devotion, 9 Devotion with Springjack Shepherd. And we'll see if we want to end up going for Rocco next turn, because we can just get down Springjack. Oh, look at that. And then, oh, excuse me, we're going to get double from Primal Vigor. And I like that. So yeah, let's do that. So it's going to be Prison Term. And we're going to, actually, I'm going to go through these triggers real quick. All right, so we got Toski swinging in. We're going to have Grand Abolisher block on Toski. There we go. That's going to stop Toski from swinging in, little squirrel. I just love Grand Abolisher. Just, hey, squirrel, come on. Go back to your side of the battlefield. Don't worry about this right now. All right, so we got the Mana Crypt trigger. And we can compete with these beast tokens out there. They are 3/3s and 1/1. So let's go and choose Tails on this one. 1 the flip. And then let's see what we draw into. And we draw into Soul Warden, which actually I do like that a lot. So let's drop in Flooded Strand. And we're going to get a mana count. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then that's going to be 14 total mana. So we've got some stuff to do this turn. Let's go Soul Warden. Let's get down Soul Warden. And let's get Rocco down for Hero of Bladehold, I think. So if we end up tapping Rocco down, and that's going to be green, we're going to end up tapping down red off of Sunbaked Canyon. We tap down white, and then we tap down for X equals 5. That'll be good, and that'll be just enough to get down Rocco. So what we're going to do is we're going to tap down 5, because I'm not entirely sure exactly what we want to grab, but at the very least, we've got 4 for Springjack Shepherd. So Let's go and get Rocco onto the battlefield. So X is going to be 5, so let's go Rocco. That's going to be an extra devotion. That's going to be Soul Warden. And let's get Rocco pulled out. And what I'm probably going to do is get this popped out and just take a pretty good look at what we want to grab out of here, because 5 is everything in our deck. So let's get this popped out. And I think, so we could go Wiltleaf Liege, which does give us access to getting some sort of tribal effect, but I think at this point, if we're trying to set it up for next turn, I think we just grab Goldbane. Attacking creatures you control get +X/+X, or X the number of attacking creatures you control. We could go for Revan if we want to. That's going to be a lot of human soldier tokens. And if we're worried about a board wipe, I guess either way that's going to happen. Yeah, actually, let's do that, because that's going to be a lot of life gain. I think I like that a little bit better, because, I mean, with Goldbane, that's going to be a lot. If we just swing in next turn, that might end up being good game. And we're going to have a lot of tokens on the battlefield. But if they get spot removal, then that happens. So yeah, I'd rather have creatures on the battlefield. So let's grab Reverent. We're going to get Reverent onto the battlefield. Let's get the Soul Warden trigger. We're going to get a lot of tokens out there. Probably about 20 tokens, I think, with Primal Vigor. Let's get that going. But yes, with Reverent, let's always yield to the Soul Warden trigger. It was really nice to hit that life gain spot, too. Now, if our opponent does have a board wipe, that's the only downside. This deck does fold to a board wipe. That's something we got to keep in mind, which is a little bit of a bummer. But we're definitely getting a really good showcase of what we're trying to do. Look at all those tokens, those 3/3 tokens. Oh, yeah. And then let's drop in Springjack Shepherd. And that way we'll be set to go. I guess technically, if our opponent has a board wipe, we can rebound with Springjack Shepherd for next turn. I think that's the better line of play. All right, let's do that. So let's just go and pass the turn. That way, if we do run into a board wipe, you know, we've got the soldier tokens out there right now. We can threaten lethal for next turn if they want to block, or at least really chip away at their board state, because they've got a lot of 3/3 beast tokens out there. But, you know, we've got 22 soldier tokens. And so that way, if we do get hit with the board wipe, at the very least, we've got Springjack dropping in on Glorious Anthem and Force of Vigor. And then we'll be able to grab another option to either kind of increase our devotion with Rocco when it goes back to the command zone, and still end up casting Springjack Shepherd, because we grabbed the biggest thing in our deck, and that was Reverent, getting that down. So let's see what this is from our opponent. I'm hoping this is good, but yes, with Primal Vigor, that's probably one of the best cards that we could ask for our opponent to get down, because if one or more tokens would be created, twice those tokens are created instead, and so that really does allow us to get a lot of token generation. Now with, let's see, so we're going to get a life gain from Soul Warden. I think what we'll probably end up doing, because it's not really going to matter if they want to go for Chatterfang, getting rid of those squirrels, and I think what we want to do is attach Prison Term to Yawgmoth. Pay 1 life, sack a creature, put a -1 counter on target creature, and draw a card. So if we end up moving Prison Term over, yeah, I was about to say, our opponent's just going to activate in response to that. So let's click OK. So they're going to go for the -1 onto Soul Warden. And they're going to have to pop a lot of creatures off Yawgmoth before this happens. And look at that. I like that. Yawgmoth, we got a beefy Soul Warden out there. We're going to have to take 3 creatures to take down Soul Warden. That makes me happy. So let's get the last activation. There we go. And let's see if they end up going for anything else, because we probably will end up moving the Prison Term over onto Yawgmoth if they don't have another activation, because we want to stop that draw, discard a card, proliferate to really kind of amplify that out. So let's see if they allow us to move Prison Term over. Alright, so they're going to end up going for the Soldier token. And once they get done sacrificing, I'll jump back, and there we go. Alright, so this is going to be Prison Term. Yes, we will use that ability, move it over onto Yawgmoth, and then we get that last little Soul Warden life gain, so back up to 47. That's one of the nice things when you're playing a mono-white Devotion deck, is with Prison Term, is that you can shift this around and kind of lock down different creatures. Now, they still have access to the black Sacrifice X Squirrels, which is a little bit of a bummer. But with Prison Term, at least we're going to be able to stop that sacrifice and draw in a bunch of cards. All right, so opponent's going to grab Guy's Cradle with Sylvan Scrying. So they're at least going to be able to tap down off of Guy's Cradle 1, 2, 3. That's going to be 7, and that'll be 8 total mana off of Yawgmoth. So we'll see what they have for it. I think if they, even if they kind of hoof it out, it's still, yeah, it's still hard to beat a hoof, but we've got a lot of creatures out there. So we'll see what they're going to end up going for off of with Guy's Cradle. Okay, opponent's going to go for Demonic Tutor, And then we'll hopefully, or I get not hopefully, but we'll see what they ended up grabbing off of that. That's going to be 8 mana. That might be Crater Hoof mana. But I still think we've got it, potentially, even if they do hoof it out. I don't know. We're at 47. We'll kind of see what they're tapping out for. They still have access to Deserted Temple, which can untap Guy's Cradle if they leave the mana up. So with Witherbloom, pay 10 life, untap all lands that you control, activate only once each turn. So are we really that worried about that? I'd rather keep the draw thing away. So we're just going to leave Prison Term. No, we're going to leave Yawgmoth in prison right now. They do have the 10 life activation to untap all lands that they control. But at this point right now, we're just going to leave that up and not put Prison Term onto that creature. All right, so they have an untapped Guy's Cradle. Let's see what else they've got for the turn. And that's going to be 3 visits. Search your library for a forest card. And it's going to be Song of the Dryads. And what are they're enchanting? Oh, okay. There we go. So they're going to actually enchant Song of the Dryads on the Prison Term, which is not really something I would have expected in a Commander game, but I'm glad that we're playing Commander to get to see that happen. So, all right, so it looks like our opponent either might go off or they're going to go for a pretty big turn with Belladraw. So I'm just going to let them kind of tap and untap lands and do whatever they're doing. And then when something does happen, I will jump into commentary. Alright, so they're going to get Yawgmoth going now that they did get rid of Prison Term, and that's going to allow them to draw a bunch of cards. So I'm definitely going to let them kind of cycle through this turn if they pick apart our board state. Alright, so we have finally got out of the main phase. We're alive, okay. And you can see what's going on. I don't know how I'm going to edit this video, but they just basically just cast in a lot of token production and Guy's Cradle and Deserted Temple and Belladraw to do a bunch of stuff. Tavesh got down. Grave Titan got down, and then a lot of amplification from Parallel Lives and that, yeah, because that was a really long turn, so I'll probably just edited it up. But that's basically what happened is Grave Titan came down, Tavesh came down, and they had a lot of activations from sacrificing stuff and different things like that. All right, so opponent swinging in, that's going to be 10. Now we'll go and block on one of these creatures. So let's block on Chatterfang. I think that sounds good. Or is Chatterfang? No, excuse me. They've got Forest. Chatterfang has Forest Walk, so that's going to be a 4/4, a bunch of 3s. Let's block on Toski. Click OK. And then, oh no, I think our opponent has disconnected. And so we're going to allow, they just had like a 10-minute main phase and they just disconnected whenever we get to the combat step. So I'm going to give them just a little bit of time, but I've got more recording I've got to do this morning. So I'm going to put a little bit of a timer on here to see if they connect in a reasonable amount of time. And if not, then we're going to scoop it up and draw a couple cards to see if we hit a board wipe to take the game with Dark Prophecy. So I'm going to give them a little bit of time to reconnect to the game, hopefully. Alright, so I did wait. Our opponent had a very long main phase, and so I'm going to go ahead and scoop it up on this one. I'm not saying that they won the game, but what I'm going to do is we're going to draw a couple cards, because we had 1, 2, 3. We had 3 ways to get out of this. Alright, so we had the draw step for the turn. That would have been Arid Mesa. We had Sunbaked Canyon, which we can sacrifice to draw a card, which would have been Gold Knight, which doesn't really do much. And then we had Horizon Canopy to sacrifice and draw a card, and then that would have been Mountain. So there's nothing that we could have done. The only out that we were trying to draw into would have been, because they're completely tapped out on mana, they could have untapped with Belladraw to get some more land, but the only way that we could have won would have been a board wipe and using Dark Prophecy to force them to draw and lose the game. So good game to our opponent. They got a ton of tokens out there. You can see what's going on. We could have had even more tokens out there with Reverent and Springjack Shepherd. But you can see where they, and actually had we actually played Springjack Shepherd, that would have, I think it would have changed the math on them being able to dip that low with Yawgmoth and take care of us. So, but at the same time, we are playing against Golgari, and with a board wipe, you know, if we get rid of one of our big token producers based on Devotion, we don't really have much to rebound with, and so that was one of the downsides to holding back Springjack Shepherd. So had we rolled out Springjack Shepherd that turn, this game might have been different to where they couldn't have really done much to get rid of our creatures. But hey, that's how Magic goes sometimes. But anyways, if you enjoyed the GOATs today, like and subscribe. Thanks, bye.